white hat. Pelu namahadi, female hat. Pelu ntle, beautiful hat. Compassion. My name is Unity Dow, and welcome to my show, Things That Matter, brought to you by TD Tele Radio. In the studio with me, I have
Charity Hiscox.
welcome. Compassion, defined in those terms, brought by a white hat, a beautiful hat, a female hat. Tell us about that. What does compassion mean to you?
Compassion to me is love.
Okay.
It's what's wake me up every morning. It's what makes who am I. It's compassion to me.
Often when we think about compassion, we think about giving material things, giving money, big houses. Is that what it is for you?
No, it can be my time. It can be my ears just coming to sit with you and listening to you. That is compassion, because we are living in a very busy world where everybody is busy. Sometimes all people want is just somebody to sit down with and just listen to them without giving them any suggestions of how they should run their lives, but just to give them that listening ear.
When we were talking and we're thinking about what you believe compassion to be and how you live, I believe you live a compassionate life, by the way. That's why I invited you to the studio to talk about this today. It seemed that we are agreeing that COVID environment really brought this issue even much more to the fore. Would you say that?
Yes, definitely. And this is the time whereby we need each other more than we have ever needed each other. People are losing jobs, people are going through, they can't pay school fees, they can't buy even food. And this is whereby I have to be my brother's keeper. I have to check on my neighbor. Is my neighbor okay? Have they had any food today? And that is compassion.
And also, I think when we were talking before you came on the studio, you're talking about how compassion is really holding the world together. It is not. What do you mean by that? What would happen if we didn't have compassion?
I think it would be chaotic because, it's like we have said, it's not money. It's not giving me a car. It is just being there for me, checking on me.
Why should I care? Why should I care? I mean,
because that's just humanity. That's how God has made us, and God himself is compassion. And he said he has made us in his image. So we are actually just being what we were created to be.
I want to explore this further because I really want to, maybe if you share with us what you do, we can begin to see, what do you mean by these values that you hold around compassion, holding nations together, compassion being creating, at the anchor for the creation of peace and harmony. What do you do? Tell us what you do.
Who is Charity?
Yes.
Okay. Charity, like I said, charity is compassion. And charity loves. And charity loves giving and helping somebody. That's what makes charity happy. That's what makes charity go to bed and can sleep peacefully. And hence what I do on a daily basis. I run an NGO called Thapelong Empowerment Trust.
Again?
Thapelong Empowerment Trust.
What does Thapelong mean, by the way?
Thapelong means a place of prayer. And why the name Thapelong is because I love prayer. I live prayer. And I think, in life, all of us, there has to be something that you have anchored yourself to. And I've anchored myself to prayer. And hence it was automatic that the place that I'm going to show my compassion, it is also going to be a place whereby if somebody needs a prayer, they can come and receive a prayer. That's
So
why.
So tell us more about this organization that you run.
Okay, Tapelong is an empowerment trust. We are BQ accredited in all hospitality courses. And why hospitality courses? Because I'm a chef, I love food. And, I wanted to share my experience of food with, impact that skill by empowering other, our mandate is youth, women, and the disabled. That, as much as you are maybe unfortunate in life, that does not mean it's the end of everything. You can still gain a skill and make an income for yourself, and by so doing, it takes away the abuses. It gives you a sense of responsibility and identity when you do things for yourself.
I also know that you feed about 130 kids in your neighborhood. Is that correct?
Yes.
And about maybe 80 homes?
50 families. 30 of them are the elderly that stay alone, and 20, it is just people that have fallen into.
Are you rich?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. I'm far from being rich, but I think I'm rich in the sense that I'm able to help. And I think that's where I define my richness, that I can be able to give somebody a plate of food, even me not necessarily being there in their house, but they can cook every day, and I've provided for that.
So tell me about the 130 or so children that you feed. Your organization is in a village, is that correct?
Yes, it is. We have partnered with a primary school called Raditladi Primary School in Buka, and they were the ones that that picked the children that we were going to be helping on daily basis. We help them with after school, they come to us, we feed them, and we try and help, meet their needs where possible.
So, where do you get the money? I mean, these are tough times.
Yes, they are tough times.
So I'm assuming that you need a network of people who think like you, who are able to bring these resources to the table so you can share. Is that correct?
Yes, exactly. We have some companies that we are in partnership with, that they help us on monthly basis so that we are able to do this, because I couldn't do it by myself. Definitely, I have people that I work with, and even the ladies that help with the cooking. All of us, we are a team, and we make it happen.
You were shared by two incredible women, and perhaps that's why you share yourself with the world so, magnanimously. And with that, Charity, let's go for a break. Welcome back to Things That Matter. Belusweu, White Hat. We continue our discussion on compassion. With me in the studio is Mrs. Charity Hiscox. Ma'am, we're talking about compassion. We're talking about at a personal level. And I want to suggest to you, and find out if you agree with me, that the angst, the pains of the world are a demonstration of failed compassion, or when we've failed as a humanity to be compassionate. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes, definitely. And because if there hadn't been wars, we wouldn't have, there would have been solution to other problems except going to war. And because we didn't show that love, we didn't show that communication, that dialogue, we were more focused on ripping each other off rather than building each other. And I think if we go to that end of, coming to that point whereby we now don't see the value of building each other, but tearing each other up through war, it doesn't, I think we are failing in that case.
So you see violence, as a failure in compassion.
Yes, it
violence
is.
at family level,
Yes.
in communities, in global level. That's interesting. I mean, I guess one has to agree with you.
And I think it is in the lack of communication, and the family values that are now, we are now in dysfunctional communities, dysfunctional families, whereby we don't talk things out as we should be. And one of the things that I really like with our Setswana culture, they always say, "Ntwakgolo ke ya molomo," meaning, let's talk things out rather than going to war. And that is compassion, for you to have that extra mile of sitting down and trying to resolve issues.
The other person's problem, put them in, trying to walk in their shoes. Some people may think, you're dreaming here. It's impossible to have a world without war. It's impossible to have homes without violence. It's impossible to have a world without bullies, whether in classrooms or in social media. Would you say, let's just give up, that we cannot do it? Or what do you say?
No, I wouldn't say that, and I don't want to agree with the with the fact that it is impossible. There is nothing that is impossible if you create room for. Right now I can say to you, it's impossible for me to speak on a radio, but everything has been made possible
by people who dreamt it.
And here I am, and I'm talking on radio. Everything is possible.
Yes, because I want to also suggest to you that I think there's a country, one of the Arab countries, I can't remember what, they've got actually a ministry of love. And whenever the ministers introduce, people giggle. It's almost like we are embarrassed by love. We're embarrassed by compassion. We're embarrassed by showing feelings. We think we can leave feelings at home and then go out into the public, go to work, and somehow leave that there's no space in the public sphere for the soft things like love and compassion, and harmony. I think it's a very unfortunate position that we are in. Every time I'm in the midst of love, and people stand up and they think, oh, it's almost like they think it's a joke. How can love be a joke?
And I think it's because it has been misrepresented or misinterpreted. There are many things that we are calling love that are not love, and hence the giggle that comes along with it. And yet, I will say, those people, from my Christian value point of view, they are actually doing what God is. God is love. He says his ministry is a ministry of love. So for that country to have a ministry of love, to me, I think they are doing a great job, because we need that. We desperately need that.
One of the things that is happening here at the Dow Academy, remember we are being hosting this from the TDA tele radio station, is that they are trying to reimagine education. They're trying to reimagine instilling values that can take a child to greater heights, to be a better and accountable, responsible member of the community. Do you think that compassion can be preached, or do you think it has to be lived? I mean, how do you teach a child to be compassionate?
I think as a parent, you have to do it by example. If you do it at home, you teach them that, you have, like at home with Macharity. Macharity was an amazing woman, like I've said. And everybody that came from Tamaga, coming to Gaborone to look for a job, they will come to our house. And, I remember we used to put at night, or take the dining table chairs, put them on top, because some people have to go underneath the table to sleep there. And nobody was ever turned away. And maybe that is why charity is charity, because I've seen her, even a loaf of bread. We were so many, and no, everybody had to share that loaf of bread. And she instilled that in us, that now when we see somebody being greedy, being wanting to have that piece of bread by themselves, we get shocked. What? Who is this person? Why can they not share? So I think we can teach it
by living it.
by living it.
And giving is not just giving, you can be giving space, like you say. When you start, it could be giving your time, for example. It could be giving your talents, as some experts give talents, their time at the TDO Academy. And but how do we make it bigger than that? I mean, how do we make sure that it's not just a one-off? How do we make sure that these values are enduring in our children?
I think love cannot be a once-off thing. It's something that you nurture. It's something that you work on it on daily basis. And for it to grow, you need to water it every day. So being compassionate, you can't just be compassionate today and then tomorrow say, I've now changed my mind. You have to commit and be consistent in what you are doing.
I'll go back to COVID because I really think that in many ways it has really demanded that our humanity come to the fore. And I've had calls from people who are, especially during the lockdown, people who had nothing to eat, literally. I remember I reached out to your organization to assist with some of that. Do you think after COVID we'll go back to a greedy, selfish self? Or you hope that the world has learned enough to realize that, we're so interconnected that we cannot afford to shrink back to our spaces?
No, I don't think we'll go back. And COVID, yes, we have lost a lot of our dear ones, and it's a disease. And I'm going to say let's look at the good that COVID has done. There are some good, and like some famous people have said, don't let any crisis go to waste. And I think we shouldn't let this COVID go to waste. We should learn a lot of things out of it. And there is a lot that we have learned with this COVID. And I think it would be disastrous for us to go back to that selfish way of thinking. And this has taught us many lessons and valuable ones.